to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
I'm Ari.
I'm Nick.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Josh. And today we are going over a graphic text. This is the very first graphic text that we go over in Season 12. And it is a comic strip collection. The very first time we go over a collection of comic strips. And what I'm talking about is Garfield at Large by Jim Davis.
The first book of many, many, many more to come.
Yep, this ranges from the strip that was released on June 19th, 1978, which is where it all began, and it ranges until January 22nd, 1979. Ari, discussion starter?
Right, so obviously Garfield, very influential character, and so are all the characters. But that's kind of what I wanted to start with the discussion starter, is in the direction of the characters. What do you guys think of all the characters in Garfield at Large? Do you think they're all necessary? Do you think they all prove a really good point? Do you think that they, do you think that, do you like the anthropomorphic portrayal of the animals? Do you think that, having John be the only human works out? Like, I'm curious what you guys
mean now, because Lyman was in the series back then.
Right, I'm also including Lyman, so I'm specifically talking about this version. So this also includes Lyman.
Okay. I felt that the characters are very basic in Garfield. I think Garfield is a very basic comic. I think the only thing that I really ever got out of it is just what people could expect from cats, because it's very cat-centric.
Which is why, as the years went by, I feel that after you get past a certain amount of years, the jokes kind of go a little dry.
Yeah, I think
these ones, this is the first book, I think this one was really good, this particular collection. I think once you go to like the 90s, it starts to really get dry. But that's just my opinion.
Because it's just playing the same thing over. They rotate.
Right.
It's just Garfield on a Monday. He's in an unlucky situation, and it ends. I hate Mondays.
Or he kicks Odie or something.
I think that the way that Odie is portrayed is as a fun-loving dog, but I just hate the way that they treat him sometimes. The way that, especially when Lyman was strangling him. Oh yeah,
I had a feeling you were going to mention that strip. Because I saw that one and I'm like, ooh, Josh is not going to like that one.
No, I didn't like that one. I mean, Garfield...
No, it was not only that he was strangling him, he was also whapping him with a newspaper roll.
Oh, because he went pedal on the floor. I do that all the
Oh, Charlie.
He's grabbing him by the neck.
Yeah, and hitting him with the newspaper.
Yeah. I mean,
Garfield would engage in slapstick with him, which I think part of it was cruel, but it seemed more like slapstick than it did.
But also to say is that this is Jim Davis still experimenting here. I think his prime time years were in the mid-'80s. Those were the best Garfield comics. Like, this one's an early one, so of course he's going to get criticism saying you do not strangle dogs and you do not, hit them with newspapers. I know that it doesn't really happen.
I know that with For Better or For Worse, it's another well-known comic strip based in Canada. They re-released the older comic strips, but they had to edit out spanking because spanking became illegal in Canada.
Oh yeah, and there's also Pookie.
Yeah, Pookie made it. Pookie was only in 1 week though, or he only really made a huge role in 1 week's worth of comic strips.
In this book, he pops up multiple times.
I mean, he appears much more later, and many of the mouse Lewis appears more.
And then later on, there's maybe not in this book, but there's also Arlene and Nermal. I think maybe even Jim Davis may have realized, hey, I'm running out of characters here, but then also didn't want to have a human character or an extra human character, and that's why later he got rid of Lyman.
Lyman he went out pretty early though. He went out in 82 or 83.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was much. To me, he looked like a porn star.
Is that the guy with the mustache?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm the guy with the mustache.
Yeah, I didn't even
I'm
know that
hungry,
guy
I'm tired, take me in.
What were you saying, Nick?
I didn't even know that guy existed in these comics.
Me neither.
I saw him and I was like, is this his brother? Like, who is this guy?
He looked like they could have
the scary
But then
neighbor
again,
that
John
lives in a box.
John's heterosexual. He just can't find a relationship.
He looks like
he's a
someone
loser.
who literally took a crayon and scribbled a mustache on. So,
Yeah.
but he's important because he's Odie's owner, and
Yeah.
that's where Odie comes from. If he had never existed, then
Mhm.
Odie would not have existed either. So,
Mm-hmm.
at least to start, he's important. But then when you don't need him anymore, you write him out. That's what you do.
Mhm.
I'm curious what you guys think of the general humor value of this. Like, do you think it's more slapstick? Do you think it's more
I think the people that are
maybe
going
a variety?
the people that are going to relate to it the most are cat owners. That's pretty much the extent of it. When you go beyond that, there really wasn't much substance to the comic.
Yeah.
I mean, you had some continuing stories, but they were very simple.
I think you'll find, again, that if you ever get a chance to read stuff like Garfield Rolls On or Garfield Worldwide, like in the mid-'80s, you'll find there are more stories, characters are fleshed out a little better, but then it becomes to the point where once you get to the 90s, it's too fleshed out, ideas get repetitive, and they're too complex sometimes. And then it just... See, I think this is kind of like the timeline of the... Not only the comic strip, but of animated series as well. Usually the first couple... Maybe first 20 episodes. I'll give you an example. If you have something like the original Pokemon show, the first 20 episodes were very, very, very unclear, and they were still getting their footing. Then you had the prime time of the show, but by the time you get to series 2, it's starting to repeat
Well, look how
itself.
famous Pokemon is now.
Look how famous Garfield is.
I know. And I was
Alright.
gonna say, this is just me. I mean, this is one of many, many comics you find on the Sunday newspaper, and it's supposed to, give you
So a
that.
7-day-a-week comic.
Well, that's right. I'm
The
sorry.
ones that I remember are when you had Garfield looking at something, and then you have all the other characters doing the same,
Yeah.
and then you were looking, and the last thing is him peeking over, and he said, "Made you look." And then the other one, he's staring at you, and he just keeps staring, and then you have a black square, and it ends with, "You blinked, I win."
Yeah,
Oh,
I've actually read a book, Garfield's 25th anniversary book. I think it was later, yeah. And what happened was, it was saying how some comics, these all have to be done on the deadline. So sometimes some of the comics, like Jim, would have no time to write, and so he would write something like that, even though it's that particular day's comic was terrible, because he just doesn't have time to think of anything else.
Once you get to a point, though, you begin to do this full time, and you have a stockpile. I mean, there's some that you're going to need to write for the time.
I did like this
yeah.
one. I just found this one. This is one I did like. It's Garfield watching TV, and he has the Mickey Mouse hat on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, he's like,
Well, who's in that?
M-I-C-K-E-Y, a cat that likes, it's the July 29th comic, and he's like shaking a net. It's just stuff like that I find.
Oh, yeah.
And then the very next one,
And at that time, people would definitely get that because Annette Funicello.
right, and then the very next comic is a Sunday comic where he changes his appearance to look like a really cute cat, and it's like, don't try looking cute at me, Garfield, you still can't have any of my steak.
Reminds me that I honestly don't think Jim Davis does a good job drawing lasagna. It doesn't look appetizing at all. It looks like a lump.
Garfield's food is worse. It's just like a box sometimes with just
As big as
bumps
a
in it.
box.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
I can see the cat food right there.
Whatever works for you, I mean,
I got a picture of Tito reading the Halloween comic strip.
Oh, and here's another thing that I don't think you're gonna like. Some old man throws a flower pot out the window at Garfield. Garfield
Yeah, I just
catches
saw
it and throws him in the head.
yeah.
Throws him in they literally could give him a concussion.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
Tom Seaver, eat your heart out.
It's
Yeah,
supposed
I
to-
can tell that some of the jokes definitely did not age well because there are people who don't, they're not around anymore. But I still think like some of the basic humor here, and this is why I wanted to go over this book. Yeah, this comic collection is because the humor that's based here and that would be based on the next couple Garfield books, not only set the tone for Garfield, but it set the tone for other comic books too. A lot of comics came out in the 80s. I'm pretty sure Foxtrot came out in the early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, Garfield, I would say, out of the comic strips that are out there, Garfield is middle of the road because, I mean, Jim Davis is one of the oldest ones that's still doing it because a lot of them they have new comic strip writers.
Like, back in 78, the only other comic I can think of that was really this popular was Peanuts.
Yeah.
It's the only, and that was a TV show too. This became a TV show also.
I don't know Blondie was probably the oldest.
Oh yeah,
one.
Blondie, and then the one
1930.
you don't like, which we're not going to talk about.
You mean Kathy?
No, the other one.
Kathy, I can't stand.
Not Kathy, the other one.
Uh,
The one that begins with the letter A.
You mean Andy Cat?
No, not that one either.
Oh, what?
It was on your 5 things you would never read.
Oh, that one. That's not a comic. That's a comic book.
It is still.
But it's still
I don't even know at this point.
pulp garbage.
Yeah, we'll just call it garbage.
But Andy Cap actually, that you see him on those cheese fry snacks. Originally, he was physically abusive toward his wife in the original comic strips.
Yeah, there were a lot of older
was
comic
horrifying.
strips I never really cared for. But
But-
this one, I've always liked.
But yeah,
Garfield.
Blondie was. You had Prince Valiant's been around forever. Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy was good.
There's Hagar the Horrible.
Yeah,
Beetle
he's on my
Bailey. There's
Beetle Bailey's good too.
Yes.
BC by heart.
I don't know how old that one is. I'd have to look that one up.
That's one of my favorite, and Hagar the Horrible.
Yeah.
Mother Goose and Grimm.
Yeah,
That's
a
my
little bit
favorite.
more recent, but that's
Yeah.
still a good.
That's
comic
one of my
strip.
favorites. It's right to the point.
I think I really, when it comes to Garfield, I really appreciate, just the timing of some of these jokes as well, and then
It's supposed to make you laugh. Like I was trying to say earlier. It's supposed to make you laugh.
But I
that's
think
funny.
it's a good example of everything has to end at some point. Not obviously, this is the very beginning, and this is where it all starts. This is where we start learning about the characters. We meet these characters for the first time. Imagine yourself in 1978 meeting these characters for the first time. But I think
Far out, dude.
as much as I know Jim Davis enjoyed writing it, I think he should have probably stopped in the early 90s.
I don't know, because I think
Maybe late 90s.
I think it's tough to tell people when to stop because as long as they still have ideas, they can keep going. But in this case, I think a lot of things have been redone.
Yeah, and when
They've also changed. I think now, in the present tense, John is now either married or dating Liz, the doctor, who doesn't even exist here. But when she does exist, Liz usually hated John.
I guess that there has to be that kind of
Yeah, you have to change
love
things.
interest, but it all depends. I think sometimes it's not necessary, but sometimes it is necessary.
And
If it's forced, then it's not necessary.
I was gonna say, but if it's gonna help the plot, if it's gonna help make it, if it's gonna let it live longer, another few years, you know,
that would be
too.
true.
It's gonna help the plot.
For instance, Dilbert is one of my favorites. I think it was strongest during the first, let's say, 15 years. It became very complex as years went by to the point that it bogged it down. He was in a relationship for a few years, but it didn't work, and they really didn't return to it. They didn't force him into a relationship, and he doesn't seem like the character that really warrants one. I think he's better off single because it adds to his awkward character. One of the comics I really like is Grand Avenue, because they incorporate some good, fresh, just the right amount of references, but not to the point that it's forced upon the reader.
It's like I said, it's supposed to make you laugh. Have that end of the workday, end of the week, or whatever. Since this was not just Sunday, I'm sorry, I was mistaken. Because it's supposed to give you a chuckle, something to, take your mind off a 35-hour, 40-plus work week. It's like, come home and I read the paper, I have my dinner, I go watch some TV, I go to bed.
The comics are a bit more of that. That's a reliever because the news can be very intense, stressful, especially today.
And I think what this book had was potential. It had potential because what happened is once you introduce the characters, like not just John and Garfield, Odie, whatever, but like the farm part of the family or the doctor, Liz, or other characters that come in later, once you introduce them, then it becomes more you get the jokes plus you get characterization. Here, there's only 4 characters. It's hard to write for only 4 characters. So I think
main characters.
I think this book is a very good testament to what's called a pilot, which basically means that you
drives an airplane.
That too, but in
Flies
this
an
case,
airplane.
when I mean pilot, I mean more like you write stuff that you think you're testing the humor out at this phase. It's only the beginning.
Right.
And then eventually you're going to write more characters in to try and get the humor to work with other characters.
More of a pilot season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is you can also notice very, very subtly that the artwork changes throughout. It's slight. It's very, very
I noticed
slight.
that too.
Yeah,
But
and you notice it immediately.
You've got in the first couple panels, you've got Garfield is more, he's a little bit heavier. He's got bigger cheeks. He's got smaller eyes. And then if you look at the end, his eyes are bigger, and his body is a lot more mobile. At the end, the artwork changes too. So he's obviously experimenting with the artwork as well.
And also,
Yeah, and John doesn't have a long face.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like the first
It's
panel is like super. His face is like what?
I don't even
Yeah.
want to tell you what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
And it seems like it's an interesting thing that Garfield did was break fourth wall.
I like that. I like when he does
where he told people he's going to be so and so many years old during his anniversary. And then there was the one year that the current Garfield and John met the original Garfield and John from 1978.
I saw that comic. That was a good one.
Then with the eyes, I think there's another reason why he made the eyes bigger, because with the eyes, they communicate. It's a form of body language, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's one with the staring contest. There, what do you use? Your ears? No, you use your eyeballs. So,
I think that part of it was more of an engagement thing as
Right.
opposed to
Yeah.
staring contest.
you know,
Kabonk,
I know, but
kabonk, kabonk.
the eyes, like I said, they really,
And I mean, there was that whole thing of why are the Simpsons yellow? The reason that
well, they worked near a power plant.
Yeah, I was about to say they probably
Sorry,
have
sorry.
been completely.
I should
But-
not say that.
the reason that Matt Groening made them yellow is because he wanted them to
Stand out.
stick out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a
When
minute,
people-
Sideshow Bob? Oh, yes, he was yellow. You're right.
When
Krusty isn't yellow.
he's got plastic surgery though, because that when you're flipping through the channels, you see something like that stick out, and you're more inclined.
Oh, hey,
to
yeah,
stop.
this stuff, Hey, the kids like this.
Hey,
But,
kids!
Uh,
I'm Krusty the Clown.
I'm hungry.
but I was also wondering how Garfield got his name, and it was from Jim Davis's
His grandfather, James Garfield Davis.
James A. Garfield. So it was the same as the president, but it wasn't the president.
Yes.
Cats
And
can be.
it was an interesting. They gave Garfield
And
the
Doc
biography.
Boy comes from his brother. His actual real life brother.
Doc Boy.
Yeah, Doc Boy's the brother, is John's brother, but Doc Boy is also based off of Jim Davis's brother. He's not in this book, he's in a later book.
Okay. They had the little biography. I guess that's either incorporated into later comics
Yeah.
or.
If you want to see a really, this one I only chose because it's the beginning of this whole...
That's a good idea.
But if you want to actually pick the best Garfield collection, meaning the one I think is the absolute, has the funniest jokes, has the most character development, has the most, you're going to be interested in reading it for a long time, book number 15, Garfield Worldwide, is like the best jokes. There is a section in there where Garfield gets amnesia. No, but it's really good because it actually feels like it's scary for a little while. And it's just funny because at the very end, Garfield gets tapped on the head by John. He then hits John really hard in the head, and Garfield's like, I remember who I am, I'm Garfield. And John's like, Garfield, who's Garfield? And he's all dizzy. He has amnesia now.
But yeah, I would say
But it's that period of time that is absolutely the best.
if we're going to go over more of these, I would encourage that we go over them in order. Because I think that's the.
I don't like
That would take
amnesia.
a very long time. There's like 60 books now, so
Yeah.
it's definitely more fleshed out than this.
I don't like amnesia.
Do we have any final thoughts?
It's incomplete at this stage, but it's good.
It's a
It
good
has
starter.
potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, good starter. Like you said, the pilot episode.
Right.
It laid a very good foundation. It laid a very, very solid foundation.
I didn't say anything about Isaac Asimov.
I get what you're saying, but
I'm very confused again.
I think I mean if you're into Garfield, if you're into the series, this is definitely worth owning because this is the foundation of what's to come.
That's what I just said. Yeah,
Yep.
very good, solid foundation.
Definitely get the watch the TV show when you get a chance to.
I've seen episodes of the TV show, but
Can do.
Garfield's narrator had a very monotonous voice.
Like Ben Stein.
Yeah, not really Ben Stein.
Your eyes for dry eyes.
Garfield's voice, it was very wonky. It was very. How would we rate it? 0 to 5 stars, half stars per minute, Ari?
We're rating it? Well, I think we've used the word foundation a couple times. I'll use it again. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm a broken record. We are a broken record. I'd probably give it a 3 or 3.5. I think there are better Garfield books out there, but as the first one, it's not bad.
Nick?
I would say a 4. I love the humor. I'm a cat lover, so
There it is.
it just feels like a cat doing stand-up. That's what it feels like.
I was gonna say, yeah.
There actually are some strips where he's on like the back fence dancing and doing stand-up. It's funny.
I'm giving it, as what Nick, I'm giving it a 4. Excellent beginning. We won't say foundation, we'll say beginning.
Garfield dancing on the fence, that was the opening for the cartoon.
It's one of the openings.
Yeah.
There's another opening where he's trying to get John out of bed. And it's actually based, I think, I don't know if it's in here, but one of the comics, it shows there was actually a network decision where they had, in the comic, he had his paws around John's neck, but they wouldn't allow that. So instead they had him pulling his cheeks instead in the intro. So yeah, there are a couple different intros, and that might have been one of them.
Okay. I'm with Nick, I'm a cat lover, but I'm with you, I'm giving it a 3. I'm not a Garfield fan. I don't think it's the strongest of comic strips.
You an Odie fan?
I am.
Odie.
I like Odie, but Odie's
he's treated like crap. Excuse me,
I love Odie. I think Odie's probably my favorite character.
We have the same personality.
Yeah, Odie
Odie
represents. Odie is the perception of a dog from the eyes of a cat.
Yes.
But I will tell you, he does get the upper hand on Garfield later. And some, I think, again, Garfield Worldwide, there is a comic strip where Garfield on a Monday gets, it's Monday, I don't like it, and he kicks Odie out of the shot, and he's like, oops, I kicked Odie in the next week. And then the following Saturday, he's just walking, and Odie just lands on him. He's like, oh, I forgot I kicked Odie in the next week, last week.
That's probably what they got to saying. I want to kick you in the next week, or whatever.
It's just clever stuff like that. I love it.
Yeah, that's where Jim Davis is pretty strong. How clever, his use of fourth wall.
I was gonna say, everybody, I'm not sure where you got your copies from. I'm guessing you got it from Barnes & Noble? Amazon. This copy here is a different copy. This one is, as you can see, it's falling apart a little bit, but this is the original 1978, 1980 copyright version. As you can see, it's a different shape than the ones of you guys. It's also in black and white, so you can see the pictures are in black and white. Theirs are in color. I'm always.
I'm showing something that doesn't even have. Doesn't even have color.
So it is the same content, but just black and white color. You won't be able to find this one
Bigger and bolder
in bookstores or Amazon unless you pay a lot more money, because obviously it's at this point it's a collector's item at this point. I have.
Unless you find it as a hidden gem in a used bookstore.
Yeah, you might find it at a bookstore. I have every single Garfield book up until 42. And I think 37 is when they started coming out in color. I think my mom just said at that point, okay, I'm not buying them anymore because it's the same joke over and over again. So, but I think 1 through 36 were all in this format, and then 37 moved to the color format, which was Garfield Beefs Up. Every title has something to do with being fat, eating, or the word that he doesn't like. The D word.
Oh,
diet.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Say that word. We can just drop the F.
If you're interested, here's our copy. Ari's copy's over here. Be sure to join us next time for another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.
Have some lasagna.
Don't exercise.
Hate Mondays.
Hi everybody, this is Ari from Literary Gladiators. Coming up next time on Literary Gladiators, we will be discussing Peter Capaldi's Doctor Who monologue from the episode Heaven Sent. This is a Series 9 Doctor Who episode. I just wanted to say thank you for all of you for supporting us. And, check out, if you like what you hear, check out our channel, like, subscribe, and also support our Patreon as well if you have a free moment. Anyway, hope you all have a good day and keep reading.